Your past doesn't decide who you are. The way you confront it does. Picture this. You're living calmly. You've healed from old hurts, past errors, those phases you're not proud of. Then suddenly, someone, maybe a person you once trusted, once cared for, once shared your world with, reaches into those memories and drags them out like a blade. They twist it, recalling pain you thought had vanished. And with a voice part sympathy, part scorn, they say, "You remember that, right? That's who you were." In that second, your chest tightens, not because the past returned, but because you realize someone is using it as a weapon. That feeling, it's the same betrayal all over again. And what's the first reaction for most of us? We get furious, we get protective, we begin explaining, we try to prove, "I've changed. I'm not that person anymore." But the more we defend, the deeper we sink into their snare. We give them the ability to control our feelings. The Stoic refuses to do that. And today, I'll give you 3 Stoic replies to use when someone tries to harm you with your past. 3 things to say, not with rage, but with steady composure. First response, yes, that occurred. The initial instinct of the ego is avoidance. We want to erase, we want to bury, we want to pretend it never existed. But in Stoic thought, acceptance is freedom. When someone says, "I remember when you failed at that job," or "You were betrayed because of how you behaved," you don't twitch, you don't defend, you don't justify. You simply look them in the face and say, "Yes, that occurred." No alibis, no regret, no embarrassment. Why does that short sentence hold such force? Because it removes the one thing they desire most, your response. People who weaponize your history aren't after honesty. They're after influence. They want to watch you twist, shrink, explain. But when you face it peacefully, their grip fades. Their blade suddenly becomes dull. In that moment, your chest tightens. There's an invisible burn in your throat. Not because you're guilty, but because someone is trying to weaponize your past against your present. And suddenly, without warning, the betrayal of yesterday becomes the attack of today. Pause. Feel that. What's the first instinct? We get defensive, we justify, we panic explain, we scramble to prove we've changed. But the more we speak, the deeper we fall into their trap. Because the truth is simple. They are not seeking truth. They're seeking control. And when you let someone control your emotional response, you hand them pieces of your identity. But a Stoic doesn't do that. A Stoic faces their past with calm, with clarity, with dignity. And today, I'll give you special Stoic responses to use when someone tries to shame you with old versions of yourself. Not strategies rooted in rage, not fueled by insecurity, but words forged in composure. Because when you master your response, you master your story. Drop this in the comments right now to anchor your identity. My past shaped me, but it does not control me. Chapter 1. Yes, that happened. The first instinct of the ego is denial. We want to erase. We want to forget. We want to outrun the person we used to be. But Stoic philosophy teaches something radical. Acceptance is liberation. So when someone says, "You failed at that business," "You lost that relationship," "You used to be a mess," "You betrayed someone," you don't flinch, you don't explain, you don't defend. You simply look them in the eyes and say, "Yes, that happened. Breathe." Do you feel how heavy those words are? Because here's the psychological twist. Shame only survives in darkness. When you shine light on it, it dissolves. People who weaponize the past crave one thing above all: your reaction. They want to see the panic in your eyes. They want to hear your voice crack. They want to feel their dominance over your emotions. When you say, "Yes, that happened," calmly, you steal the oxygen out of their fire. Their weapon becomes foam. Their power shrinks to dust. Acceptance disarms manipulation. Here's an example. A former colleague says, "You got fired from that job because you messed up." Most would rush into excuses. But you smile gently and answer, "Yes, and I learned a valuable lesson from it." Pause. Right there, the balance of power flips. Because once you are no longer ashamed of who you were, no one can use that version against who you are. Seneca once wrote, "It is noble to admit one's faults, and wiser still to learn from them." When you accept your past, you reclaim authorship. You take the pen out of their hands. So the next time someone throws your history at your feet, remember, you already walked across that bridge. You already paid that price. They're late to the story. Tell them, calmly, "Yes, that happened." You close the door without slamming it, and you walk forward. Comment hook. Type this below to anchor the mindset. Acceptance is my armor. Breath, we continue. Chapter 2. I learned from it. The second response takes the transformation deeper. It's not enough to accept the past. You must extract from it. So when someone tries to shame you, you answer, "I learned from it." Because this shifts the frame from "I was wrong" to "I am wiser." It turns the narrative from "you were flawed" to "you grew." And growth is something no manipulator can tolerate, because your growth highlights their stagnation. Think of Nelson Mandela, 27 years in prison, a past that could have bred hatred and resentment. But what did he say? True freedom begins within. He learned from his suffering. He didn't use it to punish others. So when someone says, "You failed in your marriage," how can you speak about love? You breathe, you smile, and you reply, "Because I've been broken, I understand what love isn't and what it truly is." That's not defensiveness. That's wisdom speaking. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Every obstacle is an opportunity to practice virtue." So when someone tries to stain you with your past, you use that very past to show strength. You turn pain to insight, regret to experience, wounds to wisdom, scars to symbols. You become anti-fragile. You grow stronger under pressure. And here's the psychological mechanism. People who attack your past are secretly terrified of it. Because your transformation reminds them they could have changed too, but didn't. Your progress threatens their excuses. Your maturity exposes their immaturity. Your growth exposes their comfort. This is why they say, "You're different now," with suspicion instead of admiration. They don't miss the old you. They miss the version of you they could control. So you calmly answer, "I learned from it," not to brag, not to flash superiority, but to anchor truth. Because growth is a language many refuse to learn. Here's the deeper layer. When you shame yourself for who you used to be, you disrespect the person you became. You are the result of trial. You are the monument of failure. You are the sculpture carved by mistakes. Your past is not a prison. It's a classroom. So when someone tries to drag you back to your old seat, just say, "I graduated from that chapter." Comment hook. My past became my teacher. Breath. Now we go deeper. Chapter 3. Why are you bringing this up now? There is a moment in every confrontation where power silently transfers, and it happens with this one question. When someone throws your past in your face, calmly ask, "Why are you bringing this up now?" No sarcasm, no anger, no mockery, just pure, genuine curiosity, because suddenly they're forced to reveal their motive. Were they trying to hurt you, trying to embarrass you, trying to pull you down to justify their stagnation? You've held up a mirror, and they must look at themselves. This flips the dynamic, because now they must defend, they must explain, they must justify. You are no longer the accused, you are the observer. People who bring up your past rarely do so to understand you. They do it to control you. But when you question their intention, their strategy collapses. Epictetus once said, "Those who harm others are already in pain." They bring up your past because they can't face their present. So when you ask that question, you're not attacking, you're uncovering. And manipulative people crumble under clarity, because clarity demands accountability. Comment hook, intent reveals character, breath. We continue. Chapter 4. Silence is power. The Stoics understood something most people never learn. Silence is not weakness. Silence is control. When someone tries to provoke you, your reaction becomes their reward. Every impulsive response is a gift you hand them. Seneca wrote, "The one who angers you conquers you." So you don't lash out, you don't clap back, you don't perform for the crowd. You hold your peace, because in a world drowning in noise, calm is intimidating. Someone once told me, "You never react. People fear you for it." I answered, "I don't want them to fear me. I want peace within myself." And that's the difference. You're not silent because you're hiding. You're silent because you're choosing. Breath. Chapter 5. They attack you because you healed. People won't always attack you because you're broken. Sometimes they attack because you healed. Your peace threatens their chaos. Your growth threatens their excuses. Your clarity threatens their confusion. The past isn't the weapon. Their insecurity is. And here's the truth most won't admit. When you rise, you become a mirror. And not everyone can stand their reflection. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When someone acts wrongly, remember, they do so out of ignorance." Meaning, if they knew better internally, they'd behave better externally. So when someone shoves your past in your face, see it for what it is: fear, comparison, unresolved shame projected outward. Not truth, not destiny, projection. Comment hook. Your growth exposes their comfort. Breathe. Hold. Exhale. The next chapters cut deeper. Chapter 6. The versions of you. Before we go deeper, you must understand something most people never realize. There are multiple versions of you. There is the version you once were. There is the version you pretend to be. There is the version others remember. And then, there is the version you are becoming. Most people only know old versions of you. Versions shaped by pain. Versions sculpted by immaturity. Versions born from confusion and survival. And here's the trap. Some people want those old versions to stay alive because the newer you threatens the roles they built around you. Your silence terrifies the gossip. Your healing unravels the manipulator. Your growth invalidates the narrative others used to feel superior. So they reach into your past, pull out an older version, and shove it in your face, hoping you'll break character. But here's what a Stoic knows. You are under no obligation to remain who someone remembers. Breath. When someone brings up who you used to be, it reveals three truths. They haven't evolved. They don't want to see you evolve. Your growth triggers their stagnation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not be beholden to your reputation. Be true to your character." Reputation, who you were. Character, who you are. You are not the highlights of your failures. You are the result of what you learned afterwards. Drop this in the comments. I refuse to be defined by former versions of myself. Chapter 7. The Psychology of Shame Weapons. Let's dissect the psychology behind why someone weaponizes your past. Reason number 1. They feel powerless in the present. When someone has no leverage now, they pick from yesterday. Reason number 2. Your growth invalidates their narrative. If you can change, their excuses crumble. Reason number 3. They need superiority. Weaponizing your past gives them a temporary illusion of moral high ground. Reason number 4. They hope you'll crumble. Because if you fall apart, they get to be right about you. But the Stoic response is simple. You don't fight fire with fire. You observe fire with water. You don't panic. You don't argue. You don't perform. You respond with stillness, a silent truth. The person screaming about your past is often hiding from theirs. Is there hypocrisy in their voice? Listen deeper. Their accusation is often a confession. Epictetus said, "Look not to the faults of others, but to your own." Those obsessed with your past are running from their own reflection. Breath. This chapter matters for one reason. What someone brings up reveals who they are, not who you are. Comment below. Your words show your wounds. Chapter 8. The Trap of Over-Explaining. One of the greatest emotional leaks is the urge to explain yourself endlessly. Many of us were trained to over-explain, to defend, to justify, to give long stories so others will approve. But the Stoic law is this. You owe no explanation for chapters you've already healed from. If someone doesn't believe you've changed, explaining won't change their mind. If someone wants to misunderstand you, clarity won't help either. Here's a hard truth. People don't listen to understand. They listen to confirm their bias. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Translation. Live your truth so consistently that explanation becomes irrelevant. When someone pokes your past, do not. Don't over-explain. Don't beg for understanding. Don't perform. Simply state, "Yes, that happened. I learned from it." Then return to silence. Explanations are invitations into debate. Debate is an invitation into chaos. Chaos is an invitation into regression. The Stoic rejects all three. Comment hook. My actions speak louder than my explanations. Breath. Chapter 9. The Cost of Emotional Reactivity. If someone can provoke your reaction, they can control your identity. Modern society is addicted to reaction. Defend yourself. Cancel them. Respond immediately. Prove them wrong. But reaction is emotional debt. Every time you react impulsively, you pay. You pay with peace. You pay with focus. You pay with dignity. Seneca wrote, "Anger, acid that does more harm to the vessel in which it is stored." When someone brings up your past, they are betting on your emotional memory. Memory tied to shame. Memory tied to guilt. Memory tied to humiliation. The Stoic doesn't hand their emotional keys to anyone. Instead, you pause, you breathe, you observe. Reaction is instinct. Response is mastery. Here's the paradox. The calmer you are, the more unstable the attacker becomes, because they expected you to crack, and when you don't, their power evaporates. Comment hook: my reaction belongs to me. Chapter 10. The Weight of Redemption. There's something I need you to hear. You are allowed to outgrow your former self. You don't have to drag your past like a corpse into every new room. You don't need to shrink into guilt forever. Redemption isn't granted by others. It's claimed by you. But here's why people struggle. We often confuse punishment with responsibility. Responsibility is, I did wrong and I learned. Punishment is, I must torment myself forever. The Stoics reject punishment when growth exists. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What matters is not what has happened, but how you respond to it. Your past is not a life sentence. It's a lesson plan. Scars do not mean you're weak. Scars are proof you healed." Let's ground this in truth. You are not the breakup that ruined you. You are not the addiction that swallowed you. You are not the mistake that embarrassed you. You are not the failure that humbled you. You are the person who rose. Nelson Mandela once said, "I never lose. I either win or I learn." That's redemption. Your growth disqualifies their judgment. Their weapon becomes invalid once you graduate from the chapter they're quoting. When someone recites your past, ask yourself, is this who I am now? If the answer is no, their argument is obsolete. Drop this comment. I honor who I was, but I serve who I am. Breath. We are entering deeper waters. The next chapters shift from defense to offense, from reacting to building identity. Chapter 11. When they can't handle your change. Understand this. When you evolve, you don't just change your habits. You change the dynamics in every room you walk into. Old friends say, "You've changed." Family members say, "You're distant now." Co-workers whisper, "You think you're better than us." But what they really mean is this: you no longer fit the version of you we built our comfort around. People who haven't grown will always feel threatened by people who have. Because if you can change, then their excuses crumble. If you rise, then their stagnation is exposed. If you heal, then their wounds can no longer control you. So instead of growing too, they attack the growth. They grab your past like a weapon, swinging blindly in hopes of dragging you backward into familiarity. But that's not your problem. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Your evolution has repainted your soul, and those who refuse to repaint theirs won't recognize you anymore." Do not shrink your growth to fit someone's comfort. Do not dim your progress to protect someone's excuses. You are not obligated to remain familiar to people who refuse to grow beside you. Drop this in the comments. My growth is not up for negotiation. Breath. Chapter 12. Identity beyond reputation. Here's a painful truth nobody teaches us growing up. Who people say you are is not who you are. Reputation is borrowed. Identity is earned. Reputation can be ruined by another person's mouth. Identity can only be ruined by your own actions. So when someone says, "You used to be selfish, you were unreliable, you messed up badly," you don't need to chase their approval, because the person who acts differently today is no longer defined by yesterday. Epictetus taught, "You are not things that happen to you, but the judgment you make about them." Reputation is noise outside your door. Identity is the quiet truth you live with when you're alone. The Stoic knows, never live according to someone else's memory, because if they're stuck in who you were, they'll never appreciate who you've become. Comment hook, my identity comes from within, not from opinion. Chapter 13, the art of not defending. There's something counterintuitive about Stoicism. Sometimes defending yourself actually makes you look guilty. Think about it. If someone accuses you of something you healed from long ago and you rush into panic explanations, you confirm their power. But if you answer calmly with, "Yes, that happened. I learned from it," and then return to your peace, their argument collapses. You demonstrate that you no longer live in that chapter. Here's why. People expect friction. People crave emotional reactions. People feed on your defensiveness. But when you give them stillness, their attack evaporates. Seneca wrote, "He who seeks to wound has already been wounded." Those who drag the past forward are not helping you heal. They're trying to hurt. The Stoic doesn't dance for the crowd. The Stoic refuses to let external noise shake internal truth. Remember this rule. Do not defend the person you no longer are. Comment below, silence proves evolution. Breath. Chapter 14. When they refuse to believe you've changed. Some people don't believe you've changed for one reason. If you changed, then they have no excuse not to. Your improvement highlights their stagnation, so they deny your growth. You're pretending. You're fake. You'll go back. This is temporary. They have to believe this, because if they admit you've evolved, they must confront their own refusal to do the same. Marcus Aurelius said, "Blame is a fate of those who envy." When someone refuses to see your growth, they're projecting their immobility. Never argue evolution with someone who hasn't met the new you. Never break your peace to prove your transformation. You don't need to convince. You don't need to advertise. You don't need to perform evolution. Live consistently. Time will testify. Your patterns will expose the truth. Your behavior will reveal the difference. Your peace will be undeniable. Drop this in the comments. Time will reveal who I've become. Chapter 15. The mirror effect. Here's a psychological principle. When you rise, you become a mirror. Some will look into that mirror and say, "Wow, if they grew, I can grow." Others will look into the same mirror and say, "How dare they leave me behind?" The mirror itself doesn't judge, it just reveals. Growth triggers 3 types of reactions. 1. Inspiration. Those who want to evolve will feel energized by your growth. 2. Intimidation. Those who pretend to evolve will feel threatened. 3. Irritation. Those who never plan to evolve will become hostile. None of these reactions define you. They reveal others. When someone uses your past to attack, what they're really saying is, "I don't recognize myself in the person you're becoming, so I'll try to drag you back to the version that made me comfortable." But you didn't come this far just to shrink. The Stoic approach: observe, do not react, remain steady. As Epictetus instructs, "If another speaks ill of you, live so none believe him." Comment hook: my growth reveals truth. Breath. Chapter 16. The emotional debt of shame. Shame is emotional debt. When someone tries to weaponize your past, they're trying to put you back into emotional bankruptcy. Why? Because shame is paralyzing. Shame keeps you silent. Shame keeps you small. Stoics don't run from shame. They face it. Shame is a teacher. Shame is a sculptor. Shame is the doorway into self-ownership. Marcus Aurelius said, No man is freed from sin. Each must fight his own battle. Translation: everyone has a past. The difference is, some learn from it, others hide in it. So when someone tries to shame you, remember this rule. You only owe one debt to the past: growth, nothing more. Comment hook: my shame became my lesson. Chapter 17. The prison of old identity. Most people are trapped not by their past, but by guilt about moving beyond it. They feel disloyal for growing. They feel guilt for leaving behind familiar circles. They feel obligated to stay small for others' comfort. But listen closely. Outgrowing people is not betrayal. Outgrowing yourself is. If you must shrink to fit, you've already become a prisoner. Stoics don't adapt downward, Stoics rise upward. Seneca wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you, not people who chain you to who you used to be." Never apologize for outgrowing the cage. Comment hook: I choose growth over guilt. Breath. Chapter 18. Don't apologize for healing. Sometimes healing looks like saying no, setting boundaries, leaving familiar rooms, cutting silent contracts, changing your circle, walking alone. And when you do this, people say, "You're cold, you've changed, you think you're better." Number your healing. And healing has a cost. You must release what wounded your peace. Epictetus teaches, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Healing is self-mastery. Never apologize for protecting your mental state. Never apologize for peace. Never apologize for boundaries. The people upset by your healing benefited from your wounds. Comment below. Healing is not an apology. Chapter 19. Identity theft. When someone brings up your past, what they're really doing is identity theft. They're trying to steal who you are now and replace it with who you were then. But identity belongs to the present, not the archive, not the rumor, not the chapter you already closed. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing who a good man should be. Be one." Do not let outdated memories override current character. They can reference your past all they want, but they cannot overwrite your present. Comment hook: my identity is current, not historical. Breath. Chapter 20. The power of walking away calmly. The most powerful moment isn't when you clap back. The most powerful moment is when you recognize the attack, understand the motive, refuse the bait, and walk away calmly. Because in that silence, their power dies, their narrative collapses, their insecurity becomes visible. Walking away calmly is emotional judo. It uses their energy against them. Seneca said, "Anger, if not restrained, is more harmful to us than the injury that provokes it." Do not let someone's attempt to enslave your emotions succeed. When your peace isn't shaken, you've already won. Drop this in the comments. My calm is my victory. Breath. The next chapters transition from the attacker to the self. This is where transformation becomes identity. Chapter 21. Closure doesn't require their permission. One of the biggest myths we're taught is this: closure requires conversation. Number. Closure is internal. Closure is a choice. Closure is the moment you stop reopening wounds just because someone else refuses to heal theirs. When someone brings up your past, what they really want is for you to reopen a door you already sealed. But Stoicism teaches, if it is outside your control, let it go. Epictetus. closure is not getting their apology, getting their approval, getting them to admit you've changed. Closure is simply this. You decide to stop bleeding from places you no longer live. Some people waste decades waiting for someone to validate their healing. But here's the truth. The person who hurt you may never grow. The person who lied about you may never correct themselves. The person who weaponized your past may never admit their intent. And you must not waste your present waiting for the past to apologize. You are allowed to close the book with no final chapter. You are allowed to walk away without ceremony. You are allowed to heal without witness. Comment hook. I grant my own closure. Breath. Chapter 22. The Law of Personal Responsibility. There is a difference between responsibility and identity. Responsibility says, I acknowledge what I did. I accept the consequences. I improved. Identity says, this is who I am forever because of one moment. Most people never learn to separate the two. They drag guilt like a chain. They self-punish long after the lesson was learned. They define themselves by the worst moment of their life. But Marcus Aurelius teaches, a man's worth is no greater than his ambitions. Your worth isn't measured by what broke you. Your worth is measured by what you built after breaking. Stoicism is not about pretending you never failed. It's about refusing to let failure speak louder than growth. And hear this clearly. Taking responsibility once is maturity. Reliving it forever is self-sabotage. Comment hook. I learned. I leveled up. I moved forward. Breath. Chapter 23. Psychological Projection and the Past. When someone weaponizes your past, they subconsciously reveal their psyche. Listen closely. People project their insecurities, their guilt, their unhealed wounds, their regrets. So when they say, you haven't changed, what they're really saying is, I'm afraid to change. When they say, you'll fail again, they mean, I'm terrified of failure. When they say, you can't be trusted, they mean, I don't trust myself. Your past becomes a screen for their internal movie. Epictetus understood this deeply. We are disturbed not by things, but by the opinion which we take of them. Their opinion of your past says more about their present. So, instead of reacting, observe. Ask internally, what does this reveal about them? When you see the projection, you become immune to the attack. Comment hook. Your projection doesn't define my identity. Breath. Chapter 24. The Test of Emotional Maturity. There's a moment that separates the emotionally mature from the emotionally chaotic. It's when someone throws your past at you. And instead of reacting, you breathe and say calmly, I'm comfortable with who I used to be, because that version allowed this one to exist. That statement is terrifying to bullies. Why? Because shame loses power when you embrace the lesson. Most people chase external validation. Most people crumble under social memory. Most people try to scrub every stain from their story. But emotional maturity is the opposite. It's looking at your scars and smiling. Not because they were enjoyable, but because they were transformative. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but never living." Never fear your old versions. Fear staying them. Comment hook. I embrace every version that built me. Breath. Chapter 25. Regret is a teacher, not a prison guard. Regret is heavy because regret is wise. Only the blind feel no regret. Only the numb feel no remorse. Regret is the hand on your shoulder saying, do better. But many people misunderstand regret. Regret's purpose is education, not incarceration. You are not meant to be imprisoned by the lesson. You are meant to be improved by it. Stoicism teaches regret, reflection, refinement, pain, lesson, growth. The problem? Society taught us pain, shame, silence. Stoicism breaks that cycle. Seneca wrote, "Erring is human. Persevering in error is diabolical." Meaning, mistakes happen. The tragedy isn't failing, it's refusing to rise. So when someone tries to drown you in regret, you respond silently with dignity. I used my regret wisely. In your mind, not your voice. Comment hook. Regret shaped me, but does not restrain me. Breath. Chapter 26. You don't need to convince anyone. This chapter may sting. You do not need to convince anyone you've changed. Not family, not former friends, not the internet, not people who only know your gossip file. Convincing is performing. Performing is desperation. Desperation is surrender. The Stoic doesn't audition for approval. Marcus Aurelius said, "If someone despises me, that is their problem." Translation: people's opinions belong to them, not you. If someone wants to cling to outdated versions of who you were, let them. You are not responsible for their unwillingness to update their narrative. Your job is simple. Be so consistent in your current character that those who matter see it clearly without explanation. And those who don't see it, they never intended to. Comment hook. I live my change. I don't advertise it. Breath. Chapter 27. The social economy of shame. Society has a twisted economy. People spend shame to feel rich in superiority. They say, "At least I never did that. At least I'm not like them." It's a psychological currency. But here's the twist. People who shame others are usually drowning privately. They need to throw weight off their boat, so they throw it onto yours. Stoicism flips the script. Seneca wrote, "We are all chained to weakness," meaning we are all imperfect. We all bleed red. When someone tries to shame you, you must not accept their currency. You must not trade your peace for their insecurity. Comment hook. I no longer trade in shame. Breath. Chapter 28. The curse of familiarity. Sometimes the people closest to you are the last to accept your growth. Why? Because they built their identity around who you used to be. They remember your teenage mistakes, your early adult chaos, your first failures. And the human brain loves familiarity more than truth. So they cling to the old you because the new you threatens the stability of their worldview. Marcus Aurelius warned, "The opinion of 10,000 is no more to be feared than the opinion of one, if that one does not know what is right." If someone refuses to update who they think you are, that is not your burden to carry. Sometimes strangers respect you more than family, because strangers meet who you are, not who you were. Comment hook. Proximity doesn't grant accuracy. Breath. Chapter 29. Growth requires shedding. Just like a snake sheds its skin, your identity must shed old layers. Your old version served its purpose. Its expiration date has passed, but people around you may cling. No, don't shed that. We know you with this. We like you weak. We relate to you wounded. Because your growth demands theirs, and they're not ready. Stoicism teaches, what stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius. The resistance from others becomes your path of self-ownership. You must shed, and shedding is lonely, and shedding is painful, and shedding is misunderstood. But what you become afterwards is untouchable. Comment hook. I shed what no longer fits. Breath. Chapter 30. The sound of your new identity. When someone brings up your past, listen closely. What you feel in that moment reveals what you still need to heal. If it still burns, there's residue. If it still hurts, there's integration left. Good. That means you can grow deeper. Stoicism says, do not fear the echo of old pain. Face it. Sit with it. Ask, what part of me still believes this? Because healing doesn't mean forgetting. Healing means remembering and no longer reacting. And the day you can hear your past and not flinch, you have finally become the person you were always meant to be. Comment hook. My past echoes, but it no longer commands. Breath. The next chapters shift into identity mastery and self-governance. Chapter 31. Self-forgiveness is the final door. You can accept the past. You can learn from it. You can calmly disarm attackers. But if you have not forgiven yourself, you are still chained. Self-forgiveness is not weakness. It is the highest form of maturity. You can't evolve while holding yourself hostage. Many people secretly believe, if I punish myself long enough, I'll prove I'm good. Self-punishment is just another form of ego. Stoicism teaches that virtue is demonstrated, not tortured. Marcus Aurelius wrote, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If your mind is soaked in self-resentment, the world will always look hostile. Forgive not because you deserve a clean slate. Forgive because the next chapter requires 2 free hands. Drop this in the comments. I release the weight I placed on myself. Breath. Chapter 32. The dignity of evolving quietly. Not every transformation must be posted. Not every apology requires witnesses. Not every lesson needs applause. Stoics evolve quietly. They do not demand trophies for growth. This confuses people. Why aren't you bragging? Why aren't you defending? Why aren't you clapping back? Because the Stoic knows, noise is for those who need validation. Transformation is for those who seek truth. Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. Notice, he didn't say who you are online. Let your silence be evidence. Let your consistency be proof. The moment you stop updating others is the moment you start updating yourself. Comment hook. My growth does not need announcement. Breath. Chapter 33. The anatomy of a Stoic response. When someone drags your past out like a trophy, your response must follow 3 internal steps. Step 1. Acceptance. Yes, that happened. You acknowledge reality. You remove shame's oxygen. Step 2. Growth. I learned from it. You demonstrate evolution. You transcend narrative. Step 3. Reflection. Why are you bringing this up now? You reveal intention. You elevate perspective. This triad is undefeated. It shifts power, highlights growth, and exposes motives, all while staying calm. And when you add one more thing, silence afterward, you transform the confrontation into a moment of self-revelation for them. It's psychological Aikido. You redirect their force. Comment hook. My calm reveals truth. Breath. Chapter 34. Why some will never acknowledge your growth. This chapter is heavy. Some people will never accept your growth because 1. Admitting you changed means they were wrong about you. Their ego can't handle that. 2. They benefited from your weakness. Strong you no longer serves their needs. 3. Their identity is built on your failure. Your success destroys their storyline. 4. They prefer gossip to growth. If you improve, their entertainment dies. Seneca said, "It is difficult for a man to rise above the man who remembers his past." Translation: they're still talking about your mistakes because you already outgrew them. That's why silence is terrifying to them. Your new identity has no handles to grab. And the Stoics' answer to this truth? Acceptance. Not of their judgment, but of their limitation. Comment hook: I accept that not everyone will update their perspective. Breath. Chapter 35. The gift of old wounds. Listen closely. The older version of you deserves gratitude, because no matter how messy, impulsive, naive, or wounded you were, that version survived long enough to bring you to this one. Your younger self didn't know what you know, didn't have what you have, didn't see what you now see. And yet, they endured. Stoicism teaches, what stands in the way becomes the way. Your past is not a graveyard, it's a garden. Mistakes equals fertilizer. Regret equals pruning. Pain equals sunlight. Growth is not beautiful in the moment. Growth is beautiful in hindsight. You do not grow despite your past. You grow because of it. Look back with gratitude, not disgust. Comment hook: I honor the version that carried me here. Breath. Chapter 36. The discomfort of becoming someone new. Change hurts. Not because transformation is painful, but because shedding identity requires grief. You are losing old habits, old circles, old patterns, old beliefs, old survival mechanisms. Parts of you that were once required are no longer relevant. Stoicism calls this necessary loss. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action." The pain you feel during growth is the growth. Don't mistake discomfort for danger. If your old self doesn't fear your new self, your change isn't large enough. Comment hook: discomfort is evidence of evolution. Breath. Chapter 37. People who throw stones at your past are really throwing stones at their future. Whenever someone weaponizes your history, notice this: their future is small. People with big futures don't have time to drag others backward. They are too focused forward. They are too invested in becoming. They are too busy refining. Jealousy speaks backward. Vision speaks forward. Epictetus taught, "Be satisfied to seem what you are." Those stuck in their old identity resent those building new ones. Your new chapter threatens their comfort zone. So they try to anchor you to the shore instead of swimming themselves. Comment hook: forward is my only direction. Breath. Chapter 38. When apology is weaponized. Some people will demand apology not because they need closure, but because they crave leverage. They want you to bow, to submit, to validate their narrative. But Stoicism differentiates apology and ownership. Apology: I see the harm I caused. Ownership: I choose not to repeat it. You owe humility, not humiliation. You owe responsibility, not enslavement. Marcus Aurelius reminds, What is done cannot be undone, but your response is still in your control. If you must apologize repeatedly, endlessly, years later, it's no longer about healing. It's about power. Comment hook. I apologize once, I learn forever. Breath. Chapter 39. Your past is not a personality trait. Some people wear their past like a badge. They cling. I messed up once, so that's who I am forever. That is self-imprisonment. Stoicism rejects identity based on error. Identity must be based on present character, consistent action, deliberate choice. Your past is a data point, not a definition. Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." A gem does not apologize for the rock it once was. Neither should you. Comment hook. My past is information, not identity. Breath. Chapter 40. The quiet confidence of self-possession. There is a level of peace where someone can bring up your past, and it touches nothing inside you. You listen calmly, you nod, you acknowledge, but nothing in your nervous system shifts. That's called self-possession, owning your identity so fully that no external voice can define you. It's not numbness, it's sovereignty. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." When you reach this level, people who used to trigger you now feel like distant echoes, and the ones who once controlled you lose access permanently. Comment hook. I possess myself fully. Breath. We have now built acceptance, mastery over reaction, identity separation, emotional sovereignty. The next chapters shift into the final armor: dignity, boundaries, present identity, and the art of walking away. Chapter 41. The boundary between who you were and who you choose to be. Every person on this planet lives with a silent line inside them. On one side, the version formed by environment, wounds, imitation, insecurity. On the other, the version shaped by choice, responsibility, awareness, and intention. The Stoic draws that line boldly. Not everyone will accept the boundary you create between those two selves. Some will say, "You're acting different. You're distant now. You think you're better." But here's the truth they don't want to face. You're not acting different. You're choosing different. You're not distant. You're selective. You're not better. You're better than you used to be. Growth feels like betrayal to those who prefer familiarity over truth. Seneca once said, "Only time can reveal the just man. Only time can reveal the traitor." Time will reveal this boundary. Do not shrink because someone's ego fears your distance. Do not erase your progress because someone misses your dysfunction. Comment hook. I choose who I become. Breath. Chapter 42. The paradox of growth. Some will miss the old you. This is a harsh one. Some people don't miss you. They miss your people-pleasing, your silence, your insecurity, your availability, your self-betrayal. They miss how predictable you were. They miss how controllable you were. But you cannot spend your future dying for someone else's nostalgia. The old you was convenient. The evolving you is inconvenient. Good. Stoicism isn't about comfort, it's about character. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." The person you're becoming is based on truth. The person they miss was built from survival. Let them mourn. You must move. Comment, hook, I refuse to be who convenience requires. Breath. Chapter 43. The Power of Present Identity. Identity is not memory. Identity is not rumor. Identity is not history. Identity is alignment, consistency, discipline, virtue, choice. You are not the person you were when you didn't know better. You are who you choose to be when you know better now. Epictetus taught, first say who you would be, then do what you must. Identity is demonstrated through behavior, not nostalgia. So when someone says, you used to be, you answer, yes, and now I am. 3 words, now I am. That will confuse them. That will calm you, because your identity belongs to the present moment, not the archives someone refuses to update. Comment, hook, my identity lives in the present. Breath. Chapter 44. The Stoic's advantage. You don't need to win the argument. The greatest advantage a Stoic has over the world is this. You don't need to win. Win the argument, number, win the narrative, number, win the reputation battle, number. You only need to win yourself. Most people argue not to discover truth, but to protect ego. Seneca wrote, "What fools men are, to be sure. They surrender the greater part of their lives in order to gain the small remnant. Arguing costs peace, and peace is priceless." When someone says, you haven't changed, you answer, time will decide. When someone says, you're still the same person, you answer, you're entitled to your perspective. Then you go silent. Silence is not surrender. It is sovereignty. Your calm makes them loud. Your silence makes them reveal themselves. Comment, hook, I don't argue my growth. Breath. Chapter 45. The emotional gravity of the past. Every past self carries a gravity, a pull, a familiar weight, and sometimes, even after you change, you feel it tugging. This does not mean you're failing. It means you're human. Stoicism says, awareness without attachment. You can notice the pull without being pulled in. Marcus Aurelius wrote, let the mind be unmoved by circumstances. Your past circumstances do not dictate your current direction. When the past pulls, respond internally. Thank you for the lesson, but I walk forward now. Identity is a compass, not a magnet. Comment, hook, I am not pulled by old gravity. Breath. Chapter 46. The Trigger Test. If someone can mention your past and you instantly react, you have not integrated that chapter yet. Good. Awareness is progress. Ask yourself, why does this trigger me? Is it shame, fear, guilt, reputation, perfectionism? The Stoic sits with the trigger, examines it, dissolves it. Once you integrate the lesson, a funny thing happens. People mention your past, and you feel nothing. That's when the weapon no longer works. Comment, hook, a trigger is a map, not a prison. Breath. Chapter 47. The Virtue of Owning Your Story. When you hide your story, people weaponize rumors. When you own your story, people lose ammunition. Stoicism encourages the courage of transparency. Yes, I failed. Yes, I broke. Yes, I fell. And I rose. Virtue is not perfection. Virtue is resilience. Seneca wrote, to stumble is human, to persist is diabolical. The only shame is refusing transformation. If you own your story, no one can rewrite your narrative. Comment, hook, When I own it, no one can use it. Breath. Chapter 48. The fear of outgrowing your environment. Sometimes your environment is addicted to your old identity. Your hometown remembers your worst moment. Your school remembers your mistakes. Your family remembers your rebellion. And the courage to grow means risking exile from familiarity. Stoicism demands a brave choice. Become who you are, even if it means becoming unrecognizable. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. The resistance is the rite of passage." Those who cannot leave familiar limitation will never experience unfamiliar greatness. Comment hook, I'd rather evolve than stay familiar. Breath. Chapter 49. You don't owe anyone access to the new you. People who bring up your past often demand access to your present. Number. Growth is not public property. Healing is not a community project. You owe kindness, respect, boundaries. You do not owe proximity, explanation, access, availability. Epictetus taught, "Know first who you are and adorn yourself accordingly." Adorn with boundaries, adorn with dignity. Comment hook, not everyone gets access to the healed version of me. Breath. Chapter 50. The final shift, you become the observer. Eventually, you will reach a point where people bring up your past, you observe. People doubt your growth, you observe. People gossip, you observe. Because you realize their words reflect their world, not yours. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And most of what people say about you is based on imaginary versions. The Stoic becomes the observer, not the reactor. You watch others reveal themselves while remaining unshaken. Comment hook, I observe. I do not absorb. Breath. We are nearing the final chapter arc, identity mastery, freedom from the past, and the final affirmations. Chapter 51. When the past becomes an old language. There will come a moment when someone mentions an old chapter, and it will feel like they are speaking a language you no longer understand. You will tilt your head slightly, searching your memory, trying to feel what you used to feel, and nothing comes. Because you have outgrown the emotional vocabulary of that time. The fears you used to speak fluently, you now barely remember how to pronounce. That silence inside you is not numbness, it is evolution. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Your thoughts are different now, richer, calmer, more sovereign. So when someone resurrects an old story, you may simply answer, "That used to be me. I'm glad I grew," and continue walking. Comment hook, I no longer speak the language of my old wounds. Breath. Chapter 52. The addiction to nostalgia. Some people are addicted to your past version, not because it was better, but because it was familiar. Your growth disrupts their predictability. Your boundaries disrupt their expectations. Your silence disrupts their entitlement. And nostalgia becomes their weapon. You used to be fun. You used to be around. You used to say yes. Translation: you used to betray yourself to make me comfortable. Stoicism breaks this addiction. Epictetus wrote, "We should not moor our ship to one anchor, nor our life to one hope." Your life requires movement. Your identity requires progression. Anyone who demands you stay who you were is asking you to abandon who you might become. Comment hook. I choose progress over nostalgia. Breath. Chapter 53. The courage to outpace rumors. Here's a hard truth. Rumors travel faster than growth. Some circles will talk, some mouths will twist, some timelines will replay your lowest moment endlessly. Let them. Rumors can outrun you in the short term, but character catches them in the long run. And when your consistent actions contradict the narrative, the rumor dies in the throat of the storyteller. Seneca said, "Nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart." A grateful heart does not chase rumor. It builds reality. Let your work drag your reputation forward. Let your pattern bury their fiction. Those who matter will see. Those who don't never would. Comment hook. Rumors fade. Character remains. Breath. Chapter 54. The myth of a perfect past. Many people cling to the fantasy that if their past were spotless, their present would be painless. But here's the paradox. It is often the unpolished chapters that grant us depth, empathy, humility, discernment. The Stoics were not flawless saints. They were flawed humans who chose virtue after error. Marcus Aurelius himself wrote journals to confront his flaws daily. Imperfection is the raw material of character. So when someone throws your imperfection at you, they are unknowingly complimenting your humanity. Comment hook. Perfection is sterile. Growth is alive. Breath. Chapter 55. The wisdom hidden inside embarrassment. Embarrassment is one of the greatest teachers. When an old memory burns your cheeks, it's because it violates your new values. That sting is evidence of growth. If you no longer cringe at old versions, it means your values haven't evolved. Embarrassment is transformation's alarm clock. Epictetus taught, "Difficulties show what men are." That includes the difficulty of facing yourself. So if someone brings up something embarrassing, smile inside. Your cringe is your crown. Comment hook. If it makes me cringe, it means I've grown. Breath. Chapter 56. The mental courtroom. We often become judges, juries, and executioners of our own past. We put ourselves on trial over and over. We sentence ourselves repeatedly. We replay the evidence endlessly. But you cannot cross into the future while dragging your courtroom behind you. The Stoic dissolves the courtroom, not by denying responsibility, but by releasing the obsession to relitigate the past forever. Marcus Aurelius said, "Give yourself the gift of the present moment." Your identity belongs to today's trial. Your actions, your integrity, your consistency, not yesterday's verdict. Comment hook. The case is closed. Breath. Chapter 57. When they can't control you, they narrate you. This is important. When manipulators lose control of your behavior, they attempt to control the story about you. They will misquote, they will exaggerate, they will distort. Not to describe reality, but to preserve control. The Stoic does not chase reputation. Seneca wrote, "What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears." Meaning, life is too short to chase narratives. Live with integrity, and time will vacuum the lies. Comment hook. Narratives do not outrank character. Breath. Chapter 58. The emotional distance of mastery. There is a peace that looks cold from the outside. People say, "You don't care. You're detached. You're emotionless." Number. You're measured. Emotional distance is what allows clarity. Clarity is what allows composure. Composure is what protects dignity. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily. Take away your opinion of what is said, and the insult is gone. Your calm is not coldness, it is mastery. Comment hook, my peace is not up for auction. Breath. Chapter 59, the temptation to prove them wrong. There will be a seductive urge to show them, to succeed loudly, to spitefully outperform, to rub growth in their face. It's natural, it's human, it's understandable. But Stoicism whispers, that is still control. If you succeed to impress haters, you are still owned by their gaze. The Stoic does not seek to prove them wrong. The Stoic seeks to become right within. Seneca wrote, he suffers more than necessary, who suffers before it is necessary. Don't suffer to perform. Grow to embody. Comment hook, I don't rise to prove. I rise to become. Breath. Chapter 60, freedom from the past. Is an identity, not a moment. The moment you stop reacting to your past, a new identity is born. Freedom is not forgetting. Freedom is remembering without collapse. Freedom is hearing your old name and not turning your head. Freedom is being unrecognizable to your previous self. Your past is not a ghost. It is a gravestone you visited, you learned from, and you walked away. Marcus Aurelius concluded, it is not the action of things that disturbs us, but our interpretation of them. Interpret your past as training. Interpret your pain as preparation. Interpret your scars as symbols. When your past stops dictating who you must be, you have graduated. Comment hook, I remember without reliving. Final breath before conclusion. Conclusion, the Stoic way to end the story. People will try to use your past to pull you down, not because you are weak, but because your growth reminds them of what they could have been. When you rise, you become a mirror, and not everyone is prepared to see their reflection. They don't attack you because you're broken. They attack because you've healed, because your peace threatens their chaos, because your clarity threatens their confusion, because your growth threatens their excuses. So remember, first, acknowledge your past without shame. Yes, that happened. Second, turn every mistake into a lesson, not a life sentence. I learned from it. Third, ask questions instead of reacting. Why are you bringing this up now? Let them see their motives reflected in your calm. That is how a Stoic wins. Not with noise, not with defense, but with dignity. You do not need to fight to prove you've changed. Those who truly see you require no explanation. Those who refuse, no explanation will ever satisfy. One day, someone will bring up your past again, and you will smile, not in pride, not in pain, but in peace. Because you'll know, I am not what happened to me. I am how I chose to rise from it. Your past doesn't define you. How you face it does. And if someone tries to drag you back into an old chapter, just smile and say, thank you, but I've already finished that part of the story. Then walk away, calm, steady, untouchable, like a true Stoic. Comment hook, my story moves forward. Final 5. Stoic affirmations. Speak these out loud, slowly. 1. I honor my past, but I am not bound to it. 2. I am defined by my actions, not my memories. 3. No one controls my emotions but me. 4. My growth is louder than my explanation. 5. I choose who I become every single day. Breathe. Own them. If this message resonated, if it found you at the exact moment you needed clarity, then don't let it fade into the scroll. Like the video to anchor this lesson. Subscribe if you want to walk this Stoic path with us. Share this with someone carrying the weight of their past. And comment below your affirmation. I've closed that chapter. My story moves forward. You are not alone. You are not your wounds. You are not your lowest moment. You are your rise. Welcome to the next chapter.